Bitcoin saw a significant bounce from the lows from the $49,000. Bitcoin is grinding up a little bit again, and we're going to see a revisit of this $58,000 resistance again. However, I'm also seeing a lot of warning signals for Bitcoin on the charts, and we could also see another big crash for Bitcoin occurring. We can see this rising wedge on a 1 hour time frame, which is a bearish bias pattern. I will also discuss the two altcoins XRP and Chainlink with you, but later about that in the video. There's a lot to talk about and a lot of news is coming into the market, so watch this video all the way to the end. Like this video and let's dive right into the charts. During the weekend we saw a huge dump for Bitcoin and we created a massive CME gap. The CME gap is still open at the $62,945, so around the $63,000. But now we are seeing a huge dump below it and we're grinding a little bit upwards, but eventually this gap will be closed. But we never know when this gap will be closed, so it could even happen earlier this week already, or maybe in the coming weeks. But for now, this gap is still open, and that is a little bit more positive because the gaps always tend to be closed, and 99 out of 100 times the gap will be closed. So let's see if we can close the gap eventually. And yeah, this will have a very bullish effect on the price, of course, because we can see a little bit more upside from here. And yeah, let's see if this gap can be closed in the coming days or weeks. And on the 1 hour time frame, I also see a very bearish bias pattern because we are seeing this rising wedge. We can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and we can see multiple touch points at the downside as support. And yeah, this rising wedge is getting squeezed into this apex, and eventually the price of Bitcoin will either see a break to the top side or a break to the downside. But this rising wedge is a bearish bias pattern because we are seeing an upwards grinding price, and eventually the energy in this upside momentum will come back, and we will see a huge drop to the downside. And eventually the breakout target to the downside will be the downside of the formation, and it will again be around the $52,000. So keep in mind that this bearish bias pattern could also break out today, because we are seeing the apex is almost getting reached. So I think today we are going to see a bearish break, and eventually, yeah, I think we will also going to test these lows again, and from there we can maybe retest it and then aim for higher targets, and then we can also create a W pattern on the higher time frame, and that is a very bullish bias pattern because you want to make a double bottom and then come up for higher targets. And yesterday the Bitcoin ETF saw another negative day of outflow. We saw $148 million of outflow into the ETFs. The Fidelity Bitcoin ETF is selling it like crazy, just like the ARK Bitcoin ETF and also Grayscale, of course. Yeah, so this is having a little bit of a bearish effect on the price of Bitcoin. We're coming back to this 17 billion in total of inflows, and we're going to see a little bit of a decline here. But eventually, we also saw that earlier here and also earlier here, and after that we saw a huge spike to the top side. So let's see if we can also continue to the top side and eventually come to this $20 billion target, and that of course will have a very bullish effect of the price of Bitcoin. And the Ethereum ETF saw an interesting inflow because BlackRock was buying like crazy, and the smart money is buying into the dip, and we almost saw 100 million inflow into the Ethereum ETF, and yeah, this is looking very good, of course. So let's see if we can continue this bullish momentum, because this will have a very bullish price effect on the price of Ethereum, and if Ethereum is rising, we can also maybe see some altcoins follow their footsteps. And on the daily time frame, I've been talking about this broadening wedge for a while now. We can see multiple touch points on the downside as support, and every time we touch this certain support, we are bouncing back up just like we are doing now, and this is looking very strong for Bitcoin. And at these lows, I was telling you that you could possibly enter the market in the long, or you can just spot buy order more Bitcoin for the long term, because eventually I think Bitcoin will retest this topside resistance again, maybe force a break to the top side and create new all-time highs. And yeah, in the coming months, I think Bitcoin will still be creating new all-time highs. So from these lows, you could have made you could have entered the market just in a spot buy, and then you were already up for more than 8%. So that's a nice increase. And of course, you want to buy at these lows, and eventually you want to sell your portion of your trade at these resistance. And if you did, you could have made a lot of interesting gains in this range, because every time you bought at these kind of lows and you sold a little bit of your portion at these resistance, then you are making money because you took profits. And if we're going back down, you can use those profits again to buy into the markets again. So this is how you make money in the crypto game. So don't forget to buy at the lows and sell at the highs. And if we have a look at the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we are back at fear. And yesterday we are even at extreme fear. So we were around the 17 and today we are at the 29. So yeah, this is extremely bullish if you ask me, because when we are in extreme fear, you want to buy into the market. And I want to show that to you, because every time we are in a fear, we can see the Bitcoin price here. We can see the dark orange dots that are days of extreme fear and fear. So every time we are at this point, you want to buy into the market, and eventually you want to sell at these green dots, because then you made some profits. When we are in stages of fear, just like here, you want to buy into the market. These green dots you want to sell, because then you can take profits. It's very bullish actually to see extreme fear at the levels of $56,000, and that has never happened before. So yeah, let's see if we're going to can come back to this greed area, and that will have a bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin, of course. So when we are at these lows, we see extreme fear coming into the market. And yeah, we are never experienced extreme fear at $54,000, so that's extremely bullish if you ask me. And resetting of the Fear and Greed Index is always a good thing to see, because we then maybe see a next spike to the top side and create more extreme greed. So we also saw a very big bounce from this $52,000 support, and I was talking about this $52,000 support in my latest videos and on my other socials. So you could have been buying into the market at this kind of level, and this is yeah, a very perfect level eventually to buy into the market, and that is exactly what you did. So let me know in the comments if you also bought the dip, and at what price you bought more Bitcoin, because I'm very curious if you also bought the dip. And so let's see if Bitcoin can come back to all the way to this resistance area, and we want to see a breakout to the top side. And then from there we can maybe see a trend reversal for Bitcoin happening. And that will play out in the coming days or weeks. So we have to be a little bit patient that we are going to break this area. But we can also see, of course, a bearish scenario playing out, that we're coming back to this resistance of $58,000. And then we're going to see a big rejection. And then we have to aim for lower price, because the trend is now down. So we have to trade with the trend. But we also want to see a trend reversal, of course, for Bitcoin. But for that, we have to be a little bit patient. And the first altcoin I want to discuss with you is XRP. I was talking about XRP when we were in this huge falling wedge to the downside. And this falling wedge was squeezing the price of XRP into this apex. And eventually we saw a break to the top side. And when we broke out, I said that the breakout target for XRP will be the top side of the resistance, which was around the 65 cents. And yeah, we perfectly hit this target. And we can see a big rejection from this point. This downward sloping resistance line wasn't tested again as support. And now we are seeing a retest after we reached this breakout target to the top side. So we are now seeing a retest of this previous resistance to turn it into support. And this was perfectly hit, as you can see. And from this point, I was always saying, if you are going to see a bullish retest, you can maybe enter the market in the long here. And from there, you can make significant gains to the top side. And if we have a look at the weekly time frame for XRP, we can see that XRP is having a big rejection on the top side resistance, and we came all the way back down to this lower side support. So XRP has been in this weekly formation since the end of 2021, and we can see multiple touch points in the past as resistance and also on the downside as support. And eventually this price will also be getting squeezed into this apex, but this could also just break out later in this year. So let's see if XRP can break out before the apex is getting reached. And of course we want to see a bullish break to the top side. And if this formation breaks to the top side, we will see a breakout target of 92 cents. Another interesting altcoin I've been looking at is Chainlink. I've discussed Chainlink on my socials lately, and I said before we broke even to the downside. So this post was from the 3rd of August, so that was like a week ago. And Chainlink was forming this head and shoulders pattern, and this is a bearish bias pattern. And I said, if we're going to break this huge support on the daily time frame, we're going to see levels around the $8. And Chainlink broke bearish. And as we can see, we came all the way back down to this lower side support level, because this was the first big box of support, and yeah, the top side of this box of support was getting retested as support. So yeah, this could be a very interesting accumulation zone. And I've been buying more Chainlink in this green box of accumulation. I was warning you about that. We're going to see levels around the $8, and yeah, we are seeing a break of this huge horizontal resistance. So let's see if Chainlink can come all the way back to this horizontal level, And yeah, we could either see a bullish break to the top side again and create more bullish momentum. But of course, this level is also very strong, so we can also see a rejection to the downside. And then we have to aim for lower levels. But eventually, I think Chainlink will have a very good bull market, and we can maybe see levels around $100. So from this point, that's a 10x. But we have to be a little bit patient for now. So let's see what Chainlink can do in the coming weeks. I hope you find this video useful. Give me a follow on my socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.